the opportunity to be able to meet all the due diligence that is necessary as a matter of process. So I'm now called on Leroy Lynch from WLC.
Good evening. Now that you've had the first phase of the process, which is the educational master plan information, we then move into the next phase, which is actually facilities master plan. And as Sadiq was saying, we're going to go through each one of the colleges first, and then we have questions afterwards. And this is essentially, again, recommendations for what we think are options that you can look at. And these are just that. These are options that can be looked at. This is a dynamic plan. The master plan itself is always, any master plan is a dynamic process. It's a process that's going to change and be reevaluated as the years go by. And it's something that as the needs change of the college, as the needs of the students change, as the needs of the board change, the master plan gets to be reevaluated. But this is the first step, as Sadiq said very early on. It's the first master plan the district is having. And so what we want to do is start you on a path down the road so that for this bond, for the next bonds that are upcoming, you'll have a direction you can head in. And in that process, we're going to start with Berkeley City College, but we reviewed all the colleges, and the process we did was initially we did an assessment, which was presented to you some time ago, which we assessed, did a physical assessment of all of the campuses and all the buildings on each campus, including the district offices. From that physical assessment, combined with the educational master plan information, we then come up with the actual facilities master plan. And the process of doing that facility master plan entails communication with all of the various stakeholders that are involved in this process. This little wheel here shows you everything from the Board of Trustees, the Chancellor who we've met with, the college presidents who we've met with repeatedly, college faculty and staff. We've had town hall meetings at each of the campuses to talk about that. We've had presentations of the district committees. We've talked with public agencies and with the maintenance and operations. So we've had all the stakeholders have been involved in this process in one form or another as we've gone through this. The town hall studies were done at all the campuses, and here at Berkeley, we had a town hall process that had a lot of the stakeholders from the community involved. Everyone from the Chamber of Commerce to the local school districts were at the town hall meeting we held there. And the discussions that came out of that included that Berkeley obviously is built out, or will be built out very soon. The spaces that were left available for future build-out in 5 to 10 years are currently being built out now. So as the report that Moss has provided says, they're going to need space that's twice as much as the space they have now, equivalent, I should say, equivalent to the space they have now for the future by 2022. And so using that as consideration, they said that they'd like to have the new campus centralized as much as possible, have it close to the existing campus wherever they can. They want additional lab and classroom spaces. There's, as Sadiq said earlier, there's currently lease space they're looking at to relieve their short-term overcrowding, and there's a great need for parking, obviously, if you've been over there, and so we have to look at that as an option as well. The Moss report shows that 194,000 square feet that's going to be needed, and that's sort of the key to Berkeley. We couldn't really do a master plan in the classic sense for Berkeley because obviously you have one building that's completely taken up, and their needs have to be addressed off-site. And so those off-site needs are going to entail having to look at ways to go about getting to those off-sites, whether it's down the street, around the block, or even at satellite campuses. And this is what I talked about previously about the assessment process, the analysis that was done, and then we get to the facilities master plan, which comes out of those town hall meetings. We need to finish the interior renovations of the campuses there. They need to alleviate their space needs, centralize, as we said before, and find a more efficient way to get their signage in the campus. There's a signage program that's ongoing that's coming up now at the campus, because one of the things they talked about even at Berkeley was that people are still confused about where to go and which direction they should go once they walk into the building. They're not sure where student services are, they're not sure where the classrooms are, they're not sure where financial aid is, so signage is a very important and wayfinding are very important components of that. And that has to deal with the entry experience as they come into the campus. And the other idea is we're trying to find neighboring communities where they could put in educational centers and satellite centers for the campus. And of course, the big one is where you're going to find buildings within the Berkeley area in order to meet the demand for over almost 200,000 square feet, as well as the parking needs that go along with that. So this is a simple diagram of campus itself, where the main campus is, and all of the areas around it. And we're looking at this in terms of where in this vicinity are you able to find spaces that are close enough to the campus so it can feel a part of the campus, and still be connected and close to the public transportation and all the elements that they need. This is zoning map, which basically shows you the whole area is based central city. It's all central commercial downtown area, except for the high school, which is right here. And the short-term response at Berkeley is essentially the build-out of all the existing areas that are there on campus currently. They're going to have to finish the build-out there to meet their labs and spaces they need, and on the 4th floor and on the 5th floor. And that work is in design currently, and they're moving forward with this as we speak. So we've essentially broken all this work down on each campus into 3 phases. Phase 1 is a 5-year component. Phase 2 is the next 5 years, and Phase 3, of course, is the final 5 years. So we call it sort of the short-term and long-term responses. The short-term Phase 1 is what we view from 2009 to 2014, basically projects that are pretty much in the queue and projects we believe are going to happen. These are projects that are definitely going to be moving forward unless something happens between now and the next year or two. The Phase 2 and 3 projects are projects that may happen dependent upon funding from the state and future funding from the district, and also any potential public-private partnerships that may occur over the next 5 to 10 years as well. So these are the projects that are moving forward at Berkeley currently. And the Phase 2 and Phase 3 are basically asset management types of projects, which talks about how do they establish and find spaces in and around Berkeley in order to meet that need. And I know the district currently has someone who's looking at land and talking to landowners, looking at property in order to meet this need. So this is something that we have to step aside for a little bit and allow that process to continue, and we'll see how that unfolds rather over the next year and a half or so. And this is simply a sketch that one of the things we talk about is how at the front of the campus to look at making it so that you have a drop-off area that's a little more defined in the front of the school, and that and just make it a little simpler for you to get in, drop people off, and move out from the front of the campus, because again, there wasn't a lot of actual physical changes we can do to that campus. It's a well-built-out school, and part of the growth there is because it's a nice building that people are really attracted to. Next campus we looked at was College of Alameda. Again, the assessment process was the same, the analysis that we went through, and then ultimately end up with a facilities master plan there. At our town halls there, the discussion centered around these main items. At Alameda, it has a lot to do with identity. The campus is, you sort of miss the campus. It's very easy to miss the campus driving down Atlantic, coming through the tunnel, and that was a concern. So one of the things is identity of the campus, identifying the main entrance to the campus, where you come in. We talked about perhaps adding a bus drop-off, which we'll show you later. The building C and D, which is slated to be, was originally slated to be a major modernization. Discussion has been to tear those buildings down and rebuild them to be more modern facilities, go along with what Ma said about you have a lot of space, but it's not really good space, and so we want to create better space there. And the queue is also to modernize the student center. And the buildings on the campus have this very heavy institutional look all throughout the campus. And then the campus is very much in need of a center. of a center of campus. There's no real center that's identifiable, that's defined on the campus. That's one of the things we want to look at, as well as the circulation around the campus, dealing with ADA and also just the circulation route